Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Rankable podcast. My name is Garrett Sussman. I'm your host. I'm from iPullRank. And this week I'm stoked because I've seen this dude on Twitter, and he's one of those guys. You have to follow him if you're into SEO, because he just drops on LinkedIn as well, but he just drops knowledge bomb after knowledge bomb, all about how you think about SEO, how you think about data, how you think about data science and NLP, all fascinating stuff. Thank you so much for joining me today, Marco.
No problem. Thank you, Garrett.
Absolutely. So Marco Giordano, he's an SEO specialist and a web analyst from SEO, which is a Swiss company, Swiss-German, right?
Yeah.
And so you've been doing it basically only the last 5 years, but you've kind of gotten up to speed ridiculously quickly. And actually, one fact: apparently, you were awful at STEM subjects, like in school.
Actually, I was very bad at my bachelor, like super bad.
Really bad?
Very bad, yeah.
And yet here you are, getting into coding, getting into data, getting into data science. How did you actually get into data science and SEO in the first place?
So actually, I started with SEO in 2017, December, because I had a friend of mine with a blog, in Italian. And I noticed that someone was off because it wasn't getting traffic. So the first thing I was studying was Yoast, because it was before Rank Math, it was the only choice or so.
Yep.
And so I started studying the green lights, all this stuff, some jargon. And from there, then I started practicing. For data science, it was different. I started at the end of my bachelor, something like that, because it was getting popular, especially in Europe. It was just trendy, like in the US with data engineering. So I started studying some stuff like statistics, but I was really bad, like in mathematics, code. I had never coded, so I was very bad. But I started practicing like every day for 2 years, something like that, after university or during university, because I wasn't following either. So day after day,
It's inspiring, because it's like you realized you were into it. You put your head down. You learned it. When did you realize? I have to ask you. Like with Yoast, you mentioned you're studying Yoast. When did you realize that Yoast isn't like actually doing SEO? That it's really just kind of, if anything, a guide.
6 months or one year. I don't recall.
Yep.
I would say early, quite early.
Yeah, and you're like, no, there's a little more to it than the Yoast green signal. How do you actually, at this point, you're 5+ years into being a data scientist and doing a ton of SEO?
Almost 5 for SEO.
Almost 5. That's awesome. How do you use data kind of in your SEO day-to-day tasks? Like, there's a lot of opportunity there. I'm curious of how you approach it.
Okay, so in general, we can say there are 2 different branches, ideally. The first is automation, which is, in my opinion, the most boring, but useful, we can say, where you just automate processes. So like engineering, what you would call in the US, like engineering, or I don't recall the name, automation engineering, this stuff. So it's very useful, but in my opinion, it's not all the story, because it's for engineers. So for SEO, the second branch is more useful, which I would just call analysis, data analysis. So getting insights from data, which is not so easy as many people think, because it's a set of skills. It's like SEO. It's not like you do a data dump, you have finished. You should master storytelling, visualization, and all of these related topics. So usually I do more analysis or dashboarding analysis or scripts, but still for analysis. And very few automation, because automation is very, for me, simple. Because let's say usually your stack should be either SEMrush or Ahrefs, and you can't replace them for the database, not for the UI. I mean, you can clone them, but the problem is that it costs you so much that you just won't replicate them. But you could actually. A Screaming Frog, but Screaming Frog is so complete, so good, that it doesn't make any sense to automate some stuff, because it's so cheap and so good that you wouldn't. But for instance, analysis, getting data from Search Console, or analyzing search engine results pages, you would want a script. So for those tasks, yes, But for the usual traditional stuff, you don't want to.
And it's interesting how you mentioned about how data science is really all about storytelling. And I personally find visualizing data really difficult. Do you think that's something that people just have a natural knack for, or is that something that you really can learn if you kind of sit down and study it?
No, I think it's the second one. You can learn it for one reason, that I actually like storytelling or content marketing. Many stuff is, of course, obvious. You can say, oh, of course, I already know it. But how many people are, aware that they can use it? Mm-hmm. It seems stupid, but it's like when you know something, you think like, okay, this is obvious.
Yeah.
But it's not, because, for instance, if you have to tell a story or, I don't know, to plot something, I'm still learning because data is I'm average. I'm not super good. I'm good enough, but I'm not the best one. But still, one of the first things you learn is that you should never start, for instance, without 0. So you cannot start, like, let's say your x-axis with 10. Doesn't make any sense. And you can say, oh, okay, I already knew it. But usually you see like plots from countries, literally countries, that do these simple mistakes. So then you ask yourself, okay, maybe it wasn't so obvious.
So when you're talking about storytelling, you're doing SEO, like you both work in-house and you also do, projects on the side. Who are you telling these stories to, and what type of stories are you telling with this data?
Okay, so usually for in-house, so for my employee job, it's usually to my manager or to other stakeholders, no? When I have to, because it depends on the task. For other jobs or roles, usually it's just for myself to understand them. Because if this is my project, I have to report to myself. So
you are the stakeholder.
I just check them, or to my, I don't know, friends who are working with me. I just show them, look, this website is doing, this competitor is doing that, and this other thing. Here is the plot. Look. Like what I did the other day with Gephi, the graph stuff, no? Mm-hmm. I just showed them, look, this website, this competitor has these hubs, they have these URLs, I didn't know about them. So we can do the same stuff, but better with more quality. So this is a very basic example.
Gotcha. So a lot of times you'll think about like reverse engineering what competitors are doing and then to do it better, or
I usually do. Okay, usually my favorite task is competitor analysis, like my favorite first place, and as well not just reverse engineering, because there would be no value proposition. No, this would be just average affiliate marketer. Come on, it's just the average stuff.
Well, are you thinking about it when you're looking at competitor analysis? Are you looking at it in the context of entity SEO and topical, not just like specific keywords that you're trying to rank for? You're looking at it both. Like more holistically. Okay, so how do you approach both of those?
Okay, so usually, I have to finish one thing before. I always look at the value proposition first, what they can offer. Because competitor analysis alone is like copying or emulating, which is not good enough to create value, no? So usually, for some keywords, but I just scraped all the websites, all of them, save the data, then I have some scripts or I work on them on the moment, it depends, to see what they have. Like graphs or entities, to see what they're doing, what are their best entities, their best articles, what is their architecture, to see if I can understand something, what can I use, what is useless, for instance. Let's say you have a publisher. Usually I don't like doing news because news content is hard.
It is hard.
Because you have to be very timely, no? So it's not ideal for me because I want something passive, very slow, but efficient. So usually if I'm competing against a publisher and they have a lot of evergreen content in common, I just ignore the news content. I don't care because it's not something I can replicate. So I ignore it altogether and they focus on a subset of URLs that are of interest.
Well, do you, when you're looking at the intent, what sort of techniques are you using to it? Because basically that's what you're doing, right? You're saying, okay, well, for this like keyword universe, like publishers are winning the rankings to some extent, and that's not what we do. Yeah. And then are you identifying opportunities in terms of intent using code and data to then create it for your sites?
Yeah. I usually use my own tools, and the reason is simple. First, because of course they are cheaper.
Yep.
Second reason, which is kind of, not the best thing to say, but most tools are glorified user interfaces. You just pay for the user interface. You don't pay for what's inside.
Yep.
And this is true. Not considering the trio I mentioned before, like essential tools, the super essential ones, all the others, almost all of them, you can replicate. And you don't need all the features. You don't need
to some extent, you need the data, right? Like you just need access to the data.
Yeah. You just need the source. Mm-hmm. And what happens in the black box, you can replicate. It's not so black. The box is not so hard to decipher because you know what's inside. If you get, for instance, I don't know, a result from Screaming Frog, no? Yeah. With a full table, you know how to get them. It's not so hard, but the value proposition of Screaming Frog is that it's cheap. It has too many features for you to compete, too many. And that's why. But other tools, like NLP tools, I won't mention any, but there are two tools that writers use a lot, two in particular. I tested one of these NLP tools. And they're good.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, overrated because they just do stuff that engineers or other people already do. You just
that's what I'd ask you in terms of like the way you are building your own tools. What types of libraries are you leveraging? Like, I assume you're not building everything from scratch. You're using a lot of open source.
No. Otherwise, I wouldn't be coding.
Right, exactly. It would take forever. But so where do you kind of start where you're building your open source tools, and what are some of the languages that you're using, and what are you building?
Okay, so for now, just Python. The reason is simple because it's the de facto standard of community. Mm-hmm. So it's for communication, no? Because I would use R all day. But the standard of the community is Python. And since visibility is important, you just need to stick with the rules. So you pick the most popular, no? Which is Python. So I just use Python for this stuff. And the common libraries are the usual, like Pandas, Matplotlib, Plotly for plotting, Seaborn as well. And then, of course, I made a full thread about the topic, but usually Trafilatura is for scraping text, no? It's very powerful. Scraping text is annoying because you have to find the exact element in the document. And sometimes it's not so obvious because you get, I don't know, like breadcrumbs or other elements that you don't want. You have to filter them out according to the website, and it's too hard. With Trafilatura, it's easier because I don't know the actual algorithm. It just works.
Right. Like, you don't need to know.
Yeah. It just works. It just gets me the text I want, and then I analyze it. That's it. Then Spacey, which is used for entities, but actually I don't use Spacey anymore.
No,
I use other solutions.
Are you keeping that secret or what?
Yeah. One I have two, yeah. But it's public. Okay? It's a public solution, but it's not in English. It's in every language, but it's not something you see advertised in English because these people behind the project didn't invest in marketing. Don't ask me why. But it's a very good... I can tell you the alternative that I would use, which is as good, I guess. TextRaiser.
Okay. Do you? I gotta ask: is there a disadvantage working in Italian? Like, do you need English, or do you feel like it doesn't matter what language you're working in to develop your data science skills?
Okay, actually, I speak more American English than Italian. I'm more used to English than Italian.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize that.
So at work, I only speak English.
Yep.
With my friends, I speak Italian, of course, but at work or in the streets, everywhere, I speak English.
You have to.
So gotcha. English.
Well, just because you're mentioning some of these tools, like, are these tools are they built in English or are they built in Italian?
All in English.
Libraries?
All in English.
Yeah, that makes
sense.
So
my standard language for computers, everything, phone, it's always American English. Always been. So I don't do anything in Italian. I don't even have websites in Italian. I just have other websites that are not mine. But usually I don't want to work in Italian. I just want to work in American English or with, English, even British English. I mean, whatever you name it. Yeah, English.
The reason I ask it, and it's interesting, is just in the context of MUM and like the goal to like kind of make everything entities so it's like language agnostic. I'm just curious, like there feels like there's this disadvantage if it's not English out there across the web.
In my opinion, I mean, technically speaking, it's a bad idea. Because language agnostic is like on paper is the best idea of the world, super democratic. But in practice, this means that if you are German, French, whatever, you may get stuff from the US where they publish more, they have more budget, of course, because it's the peak of marketing, of journalism. So it's the best country for this one, or from the UK. And other countries like Italy, where journalism is a big word, France, Spain, will get a disadvantage because you get results translated from English, from, of course, English-speaking countries. So it's a disadvantage for local people, no? Yes. I mean, local companies, whatever, local press, media companies,
Well, it's also just interesting in the context of like, people who work for like internationalization and worry about like, language translation versus regionality and just generally at a disadvantage anyway from an SEO perspective. But I am curious because I know one of your passions is NLP and SEO. And I want to learn a little bit about what do you love about it? Like what got you into NLP?
So actually, because it was it was the branch to use text as data, no? So the first thing, I just needed it. And second, because there were a lot of interesting use cases, like entity recognition, all these new topics, because they're not super new, but for us, they're new. And the libraries are quite accessible. I mean, you don't have to learn a lot of math. Many stuff is intelligible. So I just started practicing and I love it because it's very useful. You just use models that other engineers, like skilled engineers, trained. You can just fine tune them or whatever, but you are sure that it was done by professionals. That's why I like it. I use what other people are building. Like I told you, TextRaiser, all this stuff.
Yeah,
they are APIs. You pay for them, you use them. I mean, that's okay. The only one where I have complaints is Google NLP. Of course, Google products, Google NLP API. Come on.
You don't like it?
No, because it's terrible with fiction. Or in some niches, if you want to find, I will tell you a secret. If you want to find a good model, general model, not specific model, test it on fiction. So test it on, invent some names and try to understand if the model is able to recognize them. Because NLP API is not able to understand Pokemon, for instance.
Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting.
I mean, some of them, not all of them, but it's quite easy because it's not even 1,000 names and they can understand impossible stuff. But when you give them fiction, I had very bad results with fiction or invented names, invented cities, even though the syntax was logical. No, because in a sentence, if I tell you, I don't know, a random name, but it's capital, you say, okay, this is a proper noun. No? Yeah. It has to be a proper noun. They are not always able to recognize them as subject or whatever. Like they say location. Yeah. Or they get it wrong, currency.
So I guess the best practice just in general with any NLP API is just to test it with a whole range of different topics and see how like with any machine learning, I guess, is like to make sure that it can accomplish what you want it to. What's actually something that SEOs misunderstand about NLP?
In my opinion, if I can say it, the majority of the community would say most of the stuff. And the first thing is text generation. So AI.
Right.
Because in my opinion, it's useful for product descriptions or short form text. No, it's very useful, powerful, way better than humans. Because of course, it's a monkey task. It's boring. You don't want to do it. You don't want to fix 1 million titles.
Right.
I mean, I agree. No one should do that. But if you want quality, like in B2B, where B2B, in my opinion, is more content marketing than pure SEO, because most of the stuff I read, I didn't know. Really, it was like, what is that term? Like what? Yeah. Because it's more focused on, you're talking to professionals. You're not talking to random people. Let's be honest. You're talking to other companies or third parties.
Right. People can smell the BS if you're pulling BS.
Yeah. It's very easy. If you're talking to what they do as an employee, if a page is about waterproofing or this stuff, you're not selling it to my dad. You're selling it to an engineer. So a contract, is very expensive and they're not stupid. So you can generate something with a machine because a machine is not able to do some other tasks or to, have that logical flow that we have, at least now. And another thing is about the techniques. Mm-hmm. Because many people think that these techniques are marginal. Like, okay, maybe Google is using them. Why not? But actually, a billionaire company, multi-billionaire company like Google is based on these algorithms. Then, of course, I agree that they are bad in some countries. I wrote the other day about Italy, France, and Spain because the SERPs are really the far west. If you check them, they are terrible. But in English, their core language for their business, compared to other search engines, they are.
Here's the thing: compared to other search engines, it's better. But yeah. I'm curious: do you think search quality is good, or do you think Google has a problem? Do you think they need to be better?
In my opinion, considering all the stuff on Twitter, on forums, on social media, people ranking with AI content, PBNs, and stuff that it should be easy to detect because some of this stuff is very easy. You just open the website and you say, okay, this is false. Yeah, it's not very good. But on the other hand, mm-hmm. I have to consider that first, we are considering outliers because the entire population, it's, trillion of pages. Yeah. So that's not even
so much content.
Yeah, I don't know. So I don't want to make estimates and I don't want to be like many people, like marketers, pure marketers that want to teach the job to engineers. I don't want to be that guy because they are engineers. I am not. But there are some stuff where I think they sleep intentionally because they make money out of it. At the end of the day, I agree about your money, your life, because you can get sued. You can get a lawsuit. I agree. Yeah. But if you're talking about, movies, stupid example, movies, why should I care if you tell me that, Inception is a bad movie and you rank with a review that is scraped by another website? Who cares? What's the problem? I'm not damaging your health, no? It's fine. So why should Google intervene? They intervene with health, no? Healthline, these websites, Mayo Clinic, where there is more. Where I can say, if I say something wrong, you can die. Or about pets, these niches. But in entertainment or other ones, I don't think they are really good because most of the information is false. Completely.
And like thought leadership, right? Like even they I don't feel like Google's necessarily good at surfacing interesting articles that aren't just like informational.
Yeah, it's true. But in my opinion, that's because, we say a lot of stuff like, hey, this doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, you just open the results pages and then you have people stuffing. And sometimes in the US, it's less frequent. Mm-hmm. You find it, but it's not so common for me. But in Italy, I opened the other day a page of SEO professional in Milan.
Yeah.
In 10 lines, 10. There were 6 occurrences of the word SEO professional in Milan. The same sequence. 6 times in 10 lines.
Right.
10. So, and this stuff was ranking, like first or second, whatever.
Well, it's like with the helpful content update, you hope that a lot of the garbage is removed, but until it happens, I'm skeptical. Marco, dude, you are a fascinating dude. I could talk to you forever about this stuff, but are you ready for some rapid fire rankings?
Sure.
Okay, we're gonna do this. Let's cue the music, put some time on the clock, and I'm gonna ask you straightforward. Here come the questions. Ready? Rank your top 3 of something that you love. It can be anything, but what are the top 3 of something you love?
Things, no?
Yes, things.
I'd say geopolitics, or in general, history, geopolitics, this stuff. Then I would say, of course, aesthetics, in particular, Japanese or retro, vintage stuff.
Cool.
Like 80s, 90s, at most. And then the last one, I would say tech in general, but tech is too boring because it's too generic. So I would just say more related to coding, Coding
I'm
or
with you,
even,
Rank your best SEO or marketing win.
Of every type, no?
Every type.
Okay, so I would say one of them, once, no, actually more than once, sometimes I outrank Wikipedia because, but not for much time. Then I was second, not first, then I was second because it was very tough because there were these editors updating the article always. So it was very hard, but for some time I was, outperforming Wikipedia for some super very broad stuff because I just smashed like 60 internal links into a page, something like that. I was pushing it and it was like a listicle. It was like one of those pages where you have history, types, and description for each type, no? And
I hope you got a screenshot.
Not here. No.
Okay, no, next one.
At the time it was normal. Then one, for my company, which is, it was in Thai language. I can't read it. I just told, basically just told them, look, write this article because it was working in other countries. It should also work in your country as well, I guess. Just write it, and it was ranking first, bringing quite some traffic. And I'm like, okay, it worked. So I never checked it. And another one, my first, even though I hope that in 1 year we'll have even better because I have some big projects. But the first one I would say was I made a big project, like I smashed a lot of, we can say, related supporting pages, like 60 or 70, into a main pillar page, no? Mm-hmm. And that stuff was ranking first it was the definition of topical authority. Dude, literally, that website was only getting traffic from that subset of pages. Even after years. I just meshed all the possible. It was very, very carefully planned because it was, so this pillar page, that was this hub that was linking to all the other pages, all of them, all the 60 pages, no? So a big hub. And then vice versa. From the supporting pages, you had like, if you want more information, please check the anchor text to the main. And I was like, okay, 20 of this, 10 of this, 10 of this. I was having a subset of anchors. And then, there was other stuff. Many people, I disagree with them because they don't know what they're talking about, but in my opinion, it works. I was talking about topics not on Google, like analysis. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, it's like you're writing, let's say, about a movie or something like that, or even laptops. And maybe some stuff is not searched on Google, but it fits the topic. I was writing some stuff, even if it was getting zero traffic, just to improve the authority of my content, to prove that I am original and I know about the topic, and it worked.
That's awesome. That's pretty good. Okay, rank your top 3 SEO tools.
Okay, number 3, maybe, I'm very basic with this stuff. I would say, wait, tools? You mean paid tools, like on the market?
Paid tools, your top 3 paid tools.
On the market. So that
on the market. It could be a free tool as well. It could be a free tool as well.
Actually, I don't know. I would say maybe let's start from the top or the middle. Second place, Swimming Frog.
Okay.
Third place, I would say SEMrush or Ahrefs. I have no big problem. One, is the same for me. First place, I don't actually know. I want to say some bullshit like Google Docs, but you told me paid tools. No, really, because what
doesn't have to be paid. You mean their actual documentation?
Yeah, I usually use my tools, like or stream it apps from someone else. They are not really paid because I told you the entire goal is not paying, is saving budget for writing or other tasks. But I would say my tools are tools from other people that I know how to modify, to change, or that's why I don't have it. But if you really need a tool, in general, I would say first place, Search Console. Like
of course.
Position 0, not even first. Position 0.
rank. I like that, position 0. Rank your best SEO trick or tactic. Your number one, just one.
Just one?
Just one. Number one.
I know it's very simple, but many people miss this. I just take you already know it. I just first Google what's on SERP. I, of course, understand the intent and all the stuff. But what many people lack is that they usually follow the advice of look on Quora, look on Reddit, look on YouTube to expand your topic. I agree, it's very useful, you should do it. But what's more useful is actually studying the topic and knowing what you should write. So my usual advice to diversify your topics is to add if you can.
Yep.
I mean, in some niches you can't. If you can add personal opinions and be detailed in your language, because it's not just for copywriting, it's for Google. You have to be detailed. So what I do is that, let's say best laptops for gaming or best laptops for college. Perfect example. I make a listicle because the format is listicle. No, you have top 10, let's say, and you put a list of laptops. What I would say, or for universities even better. What I would say is that I recommend Dell XPS for engineering or for studying chemical engineering, because my friend or etc. did that, and you are specific, like you can pass chemistry, use MATLAB, whatever, with this computer is better. Or I can say I bought a MacBook Air because I only use Python, and you give actual advice that many people don't give. Like, I don't know, if you are studying economics, you probably need, I don't know, Windows because you're using more Excel. And
right. Practical advice that's related to the topic. It makes sense, and that's why you rank. Okay, rank.
People don't do it.
No, it's shocking. Rank what you love. One thing that you love most about SEO.
Winning.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, rank your best learning SEO resource.
You mean website or?
That it could be something that you learn from a course. It could be I'll ask you your top people. It could be, what blog do you learn the best from?
OnCrawl.
Yeah.
Corais. So Holistic SEO Digital.
Yep.
And blogs, because sometimes search engine journals when they have cooperations, when they collaborate with other people. Now there are. Side note. Ahrefs is also good. They have a good blog, in my opinion. They have a very good blog. SEMrush, in recent times, they've improved their quality a lot. If we ignore the parentheses of the acquisition of the other guy. If you ignore the parentheses, it's quite good.
Well, I haven't heard much about it, although some of this stuff's good. Although we know all the things with that guy. Anyway, okay, rank the top 1 to 3 SEO or marketers that you most look up to.
Oof, this is quite hard. I would say Leefoot, of course, your friend of mine. Yeah. Lily Ray.
Yep, she's brilliant.
In particular, one of my favorite in general. And then, actually, I would say a lot of people, probably Elias Dabbas would be one of them.
Yeah, you love your coders, your developers, people who are in the weeds. Oh yeah.
Alpini, very good. And I don't know, because it's very hard. I can mention a lot of people.
Yeah.
But for instance, for machine learning, Jess Peck is also very good.
She's so good.
Zarina Stoy. My friend.
So many people.
Yeah, my friend Luke Davis.
Yes, Luke's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I can choose.
It's a great list. And finally, Marco, rank your number one cause or charity that you want to promote.
What do you mean?
Just a charity or a cause that's important to you that people can either donate their money or their time to, or you want to bring awareness to.
Actually, okay, interesting question. I don't know. I would say Ukraine, because of course is one of the most important problems for now. But also cancer as well. I don't know any associations actually.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to work in other countries. Right. But usually in some companies they can just take a part of your salary. So you're not donating directly. They just take a part of your salary. So you just declare that you want to donate, no? So I have no direct associations, like direct contact, but I would say, cancer.
A cause and helping out.
Yeah.
I love that. Marco, someone wants to find you online. What's the best way? Where do you hang out? Are you mostly on Twitter, LinkedIn? Where's the best way to get in touch with Marco if they want to ask you a question?
Okay, Twitter.
Yep.
LinkedIn, I'm starting to post again.
Yeah.
But the problem is that it's like 5 years behind in terms of what's there. It's very slow paced compared to Twitter. It's very slow paced, but I admit that in my opinion, there is less flame on LinkedIn.
Yes. Yeah.
Because Twitter,
I think that's fair.
Twitter encourages flame. They want you to flame on Twitter. LinkedIn is more peaceful. I mean, I know there is a lot of bullshit, of course, but
that's interesting. We'll have the links to your profiles on both the social networks. Thank you so much for joining me. This was a great conversation.
No problem. The pleasure is mine.
Absolutely. That was Marco Giordano. My name is Garrett Sussman of iPullRank for another episode of Rankable. We will catch you next week. See you later.